गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। वंदे मातरम एंड जय हिंद। आज हम बात करेंगे म्यांमार और मणिपुर के बारे में, क्योंकि यहाँ के जो जितने भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं वो कंपाउंड होते जा रहे हैं। मणिपुर का अलग प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है और म्यांमार का अलग प्रॉब्लम है, और इसके साथ साथ जोड़ेंगे तो ये एक और बड़ा प्रॉब्लम। तो तीन हिस्से हैं इस कहानी का, और इस कहानी के बारे में बात करने के लिए मेरे साथ हैं जनरल शौकीन चौहान। जनरल चौहान, वेलकम वेलकम बैक टू गना शॉट। वी आर मीटिंग आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टाइम।
Thank you, sir. Pleasure
या
again. Always a pleasure to talk with you. It's
या
always interesting actually with you. So
या
I look forward, sir.
इट या इट्स म्यूचुअल। यू नो वी एंड सब मैं सबको बताना चाहता हूँ, जनरल शौकीन चौहान एंड आई, हम दोनों ने वी वर सीईओs टुगेदर। बिफोर दैट वी वर इन स्टाफ कॉलेज टुगेदर। वी गॉन
Mm,
थ्रू द रैंक्स अप टुगेदर एंड वी
mm,
रीच्ड वेयर वी हैड टू रीच,
mm,
एंड नाउ वी
mm.
आर रीच्ड वेयर वी आर in front,
Yes, yes, yes.
across a YouTube channel, which is very nice. And we're
And
talking
both of
of a
us are,
subject.
yeah, both of
Yeah,
us are still contributing to the all over the strategic thought process, sir.
thought
Helping
process. Yes.
helping build it in the armed forces, helping people to understand certain difficult issues. So
Yeah.
I'm happy, sir. Always happy to sit with you and chat.
Yeah.
You've always been, someone to look up to you. So I'm very,
Oh,
very happy.
thanks. And ये भी मैं सबको बताना चाहता हूँ, there are very few people in India who know about the situation in Manipur and Myanmar, and of course overall Northeast, as much as General Shaukin Chauhan does. And that's why whenever it comes to Manipur, Myanmar and Northeast, I call him. और अच्छी बात है, क्योंकि 2 दिन के बाद ये सिंगापुर जा रहे हैं। मैंने सोचा कि सिंगापुर जाने से पहले यहाँ थोड़ा हमें
Hmm.
ज्ञान देते हुए जाएं। तो हम आते हैं अभी मणिपुर और म्यांमार के बारे में। यू नो मणिपुर में और म्यांमार में अलग अलग घटनाएं हो चुकी हैं। मणिपुर में तो सॉरी म्यांमार में तो सिविल वॉर बिल्कुल भड़क गया है, उसमें चाइना का हाथ है वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। और यहाँ भी मणिपुर में भी मेरे ख्याल में एक मोड़ लिया है, और ये पूरा स्थिति में सो एक अनिश्चितता है। there's a bit of a vague thing in Manipur also. So we'll start. I think आप किससे शुरू करना चाहते हैं? मिजोरम, सॉरी, म्यांमार से या मणिपुर से? जहां से भी शुरू करना चाहते हैं आप शुरू कर सकते हैं।
हमारे व्यूअर्स क्या चाहते हैं?
नहीं,
How do
आप
the viewers look?
पहले मेरे
Hmm.
ख्याल में म्यांमार से शुरू करते हैं, और
ठीक है,
उसके बाद
ठीक है,
मणिपुर
ठीक है,
के बारे में बात करते हैं,
ठीक है,
बिकॉज
ठीक है. We
एक्सटर्नल
can do that.
फैक्टर पहले देख लेते हैं।
ठीक है.
या तो म्यांमार में क्या है, ये एक तीन चीजें हैं जो यहाँ के हेडलाइंस हैं। मैं एक बार दिखा देता हूँ सबको, सो दैट वी नो व्हाट इज इन फॉर देम, एंड देन वी कैन डिस्कस द होल थिंग। ये साउथ चाइना मॉर्निंग पोस्ट के हेडलाइंस हैं। प्रश्न ये है, कुड म्यांमार्स मिलिट्री बी डिपोज्ड बाय आर्म ग्रुप्स फाइटिंग अक्रॉस द कंट्री? ये कुछ दिन चंद दिन पहले, कैन द जनता बी turned over? That's the first question. दूसरी क्वेश्चन जो चाइना से आ रहा है, चाइना डिमांड्स बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी गारंटी फ्रॉम म्यांमार जनता एज रिबल्स गेन ग्राउंड। राइट, इसके बारे में भी काफी चर्चा हो सकता है। अभी चाइना को भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, जो भी गतिविधियां म्यांमार के अंदर हो रहे हैं। और ऑफ कोर्स इंडिया के साथ भी प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि कुछ दिन चंद दिन पहले ही some Myanmaris of soldiers have surrendered in India of all places. यहाँ भी कुछ मिजोरम के अगेंस्ट, नॉट अगेंस्ट, ऑपोजिट कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हुए हैं। So I think taking this into consideration, with this as a background, I think you need to explain to everyone what's happening in Myanmar as far as the civil war is concerned. Over to you, Shokin, first. Whenever you want, I'll
Uh,
put the map up.
Good evening, viewers. It's always interesting to talk about Myanmar because to me, basically, Myanmar is probably the most strategic country on India's northeast. Myanmar में अगर it starts sneezing, India also gets a cold. So in the situation कि we are so closely involved with each other, कि हमारे we must be very clear that if you look at the map, and sir, I'd like you to put the map on Myanmar का,
Yeah,
Myanmar and India का जो map है ना,
yeah. I'll just put it. I'll just put it. 1 minute. Yeah, we'll just go. Yeah,
okay, if you if you see this map, sir, there are two states that are actually bordering the Indian state. That state is the Sagaing division and the Chin state. And both these two states are fighting with the Tatmadaw. The Tatmadaw is the Myanmar army ka naam. In Myanmar or Burma, Tatmadaw is the name of the Myanmar army. And the Myanmar army, as you know, is ruling Burma. It has been ruling them since April 21st, since it took over the country in a coup. But before that, it it actually has been running the country since 1948. Since the time it got freedom, it has always had some kind of military control, and the democracy in Myanmar has always been very fledgling, very little. And even though Aung San Suu Kyi was the chief administrator and she had a prime minister, the Myanmar army always looked at three main portfolios: the Home Ministry, the Defense Ministry, and the Finance Ministry. These three ministries used to be always with the Tatmada. So as a result, they always took the decision. जो भी होता है, they took the decision, and finally they realized कि Aung San Suu Kyi is becoming too popular and she should be removed. So in April 21st, she was removed, put into jail along with hundreds and thousands of others. And last 2.5 years, they've been fighting the rebels. Now slowly, these and because of that, because they've been fighting within their own country, हमारे जो insurgent groups हैं, who have set up 55 camps from Pangsau Pass downwards till Mizoram, or till Mizoram, there are 55 camps of Indian insurgent groups. And the Myanmar army has not been able to shift these camps despite our requests. I personally have gone to the Tatmadaw headquarters in Naypyidaw and requested them, but they always show glass eyes and say कि नहीं हमको कुछ नहीं पता, हम नहीं है, we don't permit this kind of reaction in Myanmar. But the idea is that they have no control in this area. In this complete area of 1,700 kilometers, Myanmar army has just two border regiments. So with two border regiments, वो क्या कर सकते हैं? There is very little that they can actually stop. So the Myanmar army has, interacted with these rebel groups and said, चलो तुम लोग चलाओ, we have to fight from inside our country. Now, इसमें क्या हुआ है that in the Chin state, which is bordering Manipur and Mizoram, the Myanmar army is being supported by the PLA or the Mighty groups that are helping the Myanmar army in the Chin state. And there, the Chin National Army, the Chin National Front, and about 5 other Chin rebel groups, they are fighting the Myanmar army, and as a result, also fighting the Mighties. And the same battle is now being continued in Manipur also. Who are the Chins? Chins are the cousins of the Chinzo people, who are the Mizo people, as also the Kukis. Cookies is a name given to them in India, but otherwise all of them are Chins. So as a result, with the Chin's fighting in Myanmar and also fighting the Myanmar army, and as well as the Kukis fighting the Meiteis inside Manipur, there will be trouble throughout. I don't foresee an end to the violence in India because they have they have people, they have weapons, and they have access to ammunition. So ये जो problem है, I don't see this ending at any time near in the near future. अब म्यांमार में क्या हो रहा है? Over the last 15 days, we have been getting reports that different groups of these rebels, जो insurgents हैं, who are fighting the Myanmar army, these different groups have got together. They've joined forces. And because they're joined forces, they have been able to push the Myanmar army out of the Sagang state, out of the Shan state, out of the Wa state, out of the out of a number of other states. And the Myanmar army has lost up to 200 posts. And in fact, India has all these, which are shown in blue, are the places where the fighting is going on with the Myanmar army. And because of this fighting is going on, a large number of Myanmar army soldiers have surrendered and come inside India, mainly in Mizoram and in Manipur. However, 25 of them we rounded up who had entered India, put them in an aircraft, and sent them back to Napido for further action by the Napido government or the Myanmar army. The ones who had rebelled, or the ones who had deserted, and the ones who came into India. Our idea is that India will remain neutral in this and we will not get involved because eventually we have to keep our border secure. That is the most important thing. So the problem in Myanmar is being extended to Manipur, and the fighting is continuing even in Manipur. इसलिए, and now where does China put in? If you remember the last time we met and we spoke of Myanmar, I spoke of the Chinese factor. It is very important to know that China is not an innocent bystander here. China is supporting these insurgent groups with weapons and ammunition. And though it has asked for securities from the Myanmar army, it is also helping out the Wa army, the Arakan army, and a large number of other insurgent groups who are fighting the Myanmar army. Or what is the issue here is that China is both the arbitrator, as well as the helper. So no matter which side wins, and finally deposes the Napido government or the Tatmadaw, in whichever way, China will win. It is also helping the government in Napido. It is also helping the rebels. It is also helping the Myanmar army or the Tatmadaw. So it's not an innocent bystander. And the second thing is that China is also looking at creating and continuing this problem in India. हमारे में तो लड़ाई हो रही है. As I said, there is a Myanmar factor. There is a Burmese factor to the problem in India, with the Kukis belonging to the Chin state and helping out their brethren in the fight. Or because we started this problem, now China is continuing to support them. And as a result, no matter what happens, China will be the gainer in this problem. So this is where our position lies, that in Manipur, we have a problem between the Kukis and the Meiteis. Manipur is an extremely sensitive state. It is also the only state which has an access to Southeast Asia through the Impal-Moreh road. But Moreh and the area west of Moreh, east of Moreh, sorry, we can show Moreh.
Yeah, I'll just get to that map, first map.
Yeah. The area east of Moreh, is controlled by the Chins. You see Tamu? You go east of Tamu, that is the area that is controlled by the Chins. If Tamu is controlled by the Chins, the access to India from Imphal and all the trade that we had planned, because Manipur was the linchpin on which was based India's Act East policy. It was the state of Manipur where we were bringing a railway. It was the state of Manipur where that road would have connected the southeast of Asia. It was the state of Manipur where we were planning to build hospitals, industries, and all these issues because the railway was coming. But with Manipur now on fire, India's Act East policy is in shambles. And if we don't have peace in this area, we will never be able to use Manipur or the area east of Manipur as a bridge to connect India to South, as a land bridge to connect India to Southeast Asia, which is critical for us. Now, if you take your mind back to the Second World War, you take one thing has to be clear. Why do I keep saying Myanmar is important? It is important because the population, firstly, the population. There's a similarity in the tribals of living in the Sagang division and the Chin state and the people of Mizoram and Manipur. There's a similarity. There's also a similarity in the people living in Nagaland because half the Konyak people live in actually the Chin state. That is the Sagang division. Half of them. Even the Tangkhuls, Ukrul is North Manipur. They also are connected. So the NSC and IM, the NSC and K are both connected to their brethren in living in Myanmar, which is the reason why this is the only country with whom India has what we call a 16-kilometer free move regime. Firstly, there is no fence. Secondly, the people on 16 kilometers of both sides of the international border continue to walk in and out of India and Burma every day. And because we have to continue giving them what we have promised in 1965, they can carry headloads without any hindrance, without any visa, to enter from Myanmar into India and likewise. And these people living on both sides of the border are unpoliced. We don't have identity cards for them. We have not been able to give the identity cards to people on both sides of the border, though we had requested the Myanmar government many times that allow us to give these identity cards so that we can recognize that the people crossing over are the actual people living on both sides of the border. So we have a problem. We haven't had a census. We haven't had a census inside, and we don't have the government of Myanmar has not permitted us to identify the people inside Myanmar. So एक तो हमारा free move regime है. Secondly, there is no fence. Thirdly, the forces, no matter how many forces you have, you can't control this border because you have given them an FMR. Though we say limited crossing places, people can actually cross anywhere and come inside and go back, which is what the insurgent groups also do. So आप जो भी करे, Myanmar, the government of Myanmar and the army of Myanmar will always be very important for India, especially to stop the violence in the three main states where violence has been endemic since 1956-57. That is the states of Nagaland, which is north of Manipur, and Mizoram. And though we have peace in Mizoram today, but there are more than 1 lakh Chin refugees who have entered Mizoram. We don't have relief camps there. We have not been able to identify who these people are. And when the time comes that Myanmar becomes peaceful, we will not know who to send back and who not to send back. So these are the important issues, sir. as far as India and Myanmar are concerned. The violence in Manipur is also connected to the violence in Myanmar. The refugees of Myanmar have not been put into refugee camps. They cannot be identified, and they are living amongst their relatives in Mizoram, and it will be difficult when this violence ends. And the third thing is the free move regime prevents us from policing this place uh, in the manner that we would like to do.
आपने अच्छी तरीके से यू हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड कि म्यांमार और मणिपुर का क्या रिलेशनशिप है और म्यांमार में क्या हो रहा है. व्हाट आई वांट टू ऐड इज ये जो इंस्टेबिलिटी इन म्यांमार पिछले साल से बनस्पत इस साल बढ़ गया है और ये रिबल्स को पैसा मिल रहा है चाइना की ओर से और कुछ और जगहों से भी इनको पैसा मिल रहा है. इसके अलावा मैं ये भी बताना चाहता हूं ये जो शान स्टेट है शान स्टेट जो अभी मैप दिखाता हूं वो एक्चुअली वो गोल्डन ट्रायंगल में है जहां ड्रग्स बनते हैं और ड्रग्स का पैसा है यहाँ. अब ये मैप देखिए ये जो शान स्टेट है वो बॉर्डर करता है चाइना को और सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम रेबल्स और म्यांमार के बीच में उस बॉर्डर में हो रहा है विच इज पार्ट ऑफ द गोल्डन ट्रायंगल. उसके साथ साथ ये ही इलाका है यही रास्ता है जहां से चाइना म्यांमार इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर भी चलता है और यही इलाका है जहां आर्म्स का स्मगलिंग भी होता है. इसके बावजूद ये भी मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि द मोस्ट ऑफ द म्यांमार इज वेरी फेमस फॉर रूबी माइंस rubies, right? The best
Absolutely,
quality
yes.
of rubies in the world are
Precious
in
stones and
Myanmar,
rubies. Yeah. Hmm.
rubies. और ये इलाका है where पैसा है, right? ज्यादातर पैसा और म्यांमार इस इलाके में है इसीलिए चाइना का भी इसमें इन्वॉल्वमेंट है. एक तरफ चाइना रेबल्स को जैसे जन शौकीन ने बताया दे आर बैकिंग द रेबल्स और दूसरी तरफ वो तात्मादाव को
They
भी
are
मदद
also
करते हैं
backing the government in Napido.
गवर्नमेंट नाइपिडाओ. तो ये क्या है
Though
कि ये दोनों तरफ खेल खेल रहे हैं कि उनको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता कौन जीते और दोनों साइड जैसे
China
उन्होंने बताया
जीतेगी.
जो हार चाइना जीतेगा. ऊपर
Hmm.
चाइना के लिए सोने पे सुहागा ये है कि वो
Hmm.
इंडिया को इम्बैलेंस रखेगी. तो एक सवाल है मेरा जिस तरीके से ये वायलेंस बड़ा कुटा है और जिस तरीके से चल रहा है और ये भी बताया जा रहा है ये शान स्टेट में 5-6 इंपॉर्टेंट टाउनशिप्स का कब्जा हो गया with rebels and Tatmadaw has been facing problems.
Hmm.
और ये चिन स्टेट में भी कुछ ऐसे ही गतिविधियां हो रही हैं इसीलिए कुछ रेबल्स कुछ soldiers crossed over and surrendered to the Indian army.
Hmm.
Do you think the Tatmadaw will be able to control this overall or you will see enhanced levels of violence in Myanmar and probably a change in the whole thing? What is your opinion? I mean, I would say give a broad idea as to where do you think this is heading.
Firstly, sir, I am clear on three things. The violence in Myanmar will not stop
Yeah, I
within
agree with you.
Myanmar.
Well, I
नहीं
agree with
stop
you.
होगा because whether the insurgent groups, the three-party insurgent groups win or lose, they will continue to fight. सबसे important बात ये है. Second बात, if the violence doesn't stop, this battle can go on for the next 5 years. Because finally, to break the military government, they will have to capture Napido. And Napido is not an easy place to capture. It is in the center of Myanmar. It is difficult for them to get through. And the Myanmar army has protected itself extremely well. Thirdly, because of these two challenging factors, the violence in India's northeast will also continue.
Yeah,
General
I
P.R.
agree with
Shankar
you.
spoke about ruby mines. Let me tell you, all these insurgent groups also own ruby mines inside Myanmar. All of them. तो उनका पैसा, now it depends on which side of this insurgency you are. General Shankar talked about smuggling. All insurgent groups are involved in smuggling. All are involved in illegal smuggling. All are involved in armed rebellions. They are helping one group or the other or helping themselves. All are involved in training more rebels. Sabke sab, if the PLA is fighting with the Myanmar, is fighting for the Myanmar army, it is fighting against somebody, but it is giving training to somebody else who's fighting somebody else. So, as General Shankar said, the center of the narcotics triangle, the golden triangle, from where the narcotics actually are processed and brought back, is in Myanmar, the Shan state. And where do these narcotics come from? Firstly, a huge amount of poppies, the poppy culture that is, it's grown right from inside Manipur, maybe in Nagaland, maybe in Mizoram, we don't know. But then it goes into Myanmar, huge amount of territories, you have poppy grown, but also you have a huge amount of laboratories on the border between Shan state, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. Udhar bhi, you have a large number of rebel armies. Udhar bhi, you have gun running. Udhar bhi, you have narcotics. So the whole system is unruled, is unruly, and peace has not been there for the last 30 years, yeah, 40 years, and you will have no peace for the next 40 years because there is no government that can take on all these rebel groups at the same time.
Yeah, I think
The-
you made a very important point. ये भी reinforce करना चाहता हूँ कि the Tatmadaw controls Naypyidaw and the plain areas of Myanmar and has alliances and understandings with all the rebel groups. ये जितने rebel group हैं, हर एक स्टेट में एक rebel group या दो तीन rebel group होते हैं जो वहाँ का लोकल स्मगलिंग, ड्रग्स, रूबीज, ऑयल, गैस, ये सब वो कंट्रोल करते हैं और इनका गठबंधन होता है, राइट? जैसे पॉलिटिकल गठबंधन हमारे देश में है, उनका टेररिस्ट वर्सेस एंड
बिल्कुल
आर्मी
बिल्कुल
का
एब्सोल्युटली
गठबंधन होता है। तो दीज आर शिफ्टिंग
एब्सोल्युटली
गठबंधन। अभी इसमें क्या है, चाइना ने भी हाथ डाल दिया। ये दोनों, ये सिविल वॉर चलता रहेगा, ये मेरे ख्याल में घटेगा नहीं। इसीलिए मैंने सवाल पूछा, क्या तातमदाव गिर सकता है? मेरे को भी पता है तातमदाव नहीं गिर सकता, क्योंकि रेबल्स के साथ उतना दम नहीं है कि तातमदाव को गिराए, और तातमदाव के पास उतना दम नहीं है कि सारे रेबल्स को मिला के गिराए।
डिफीट
एक
करें।
आध इक्का दुक्का ये छोटा मोटा ऊपर नीचे चलता रहेगा, पर पिछले एक साल से अगर आप देखेंगे तो इन द पास्ट 2 months the instability and fighting has increased, which bodes ill for Myanmar. Sorry,
एंड
bodes
इंडिया
ill for
एंड
Manipur. Manipur.
मणिपुर
It
बिल्कुल
bodes ill for Manipur. तो इसको अभी हमने पूरा म्यांमार के बारे में समझ लिया, अभी हम मणिपुर में आते हैं, राइट? मणिपुर में जो हेडलाइंस, दो तीन हेडलाइंस हैं जिसके आधार पे आई आस्क जनरल शौकिन चौहान टू टॉक अबाउट, विल टॉक अबाउट इट फर्स्ट। पहले मैं बताना चाहता हूं जितने भी ये देख रहे हैं, प्लीज सब्सक्राइब टू गना शॉट। हमारा सब्सक्रिप्शन थोड़ा ढीला हो गया क्योंकि पिछले 5-6 दिन हमने ज्यादा प्रोग्राम नहीं किया। सो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब, लाइक, प्रेस द बेल बटन, एंड प्लीज टेल योर फ्रेंड्स टू कम एंड सब्सक्राइब टू गना शॉट एंड आस्क देम, बिकॉज यही आपको एक क्लियर आइडिया मिलेगा on each aspect which concern India. This is a completely strategic channel where you will get unbiased view and an expert view of what is happening, not only in Myanmar and Manipur but all over. Okay, now we'll go to what is the thing. अभी देखिए मणिपुर में क्या हो रहा है। एक अटेम्प्ट हुआ है फॉर ऑफ एम्बुशिंग द असम राइफल्स पेट्रोल आईईडी के जरिए। ये अभी बात निकला है कि ये पीएलए ने अटेम्प्ट किया, पर उसमें कुछ हानि नहीं हुआ। और 9 मेती ग्रुप को बैन कर दिया सेंटर ने, क्योंकि इनके जो गतिविधियां हैं कंप्लीटली एंटी इंडिया थे, राइट। और यही बात हम पहले भी बोल चुके हैं जब मणिपुर के बारे में हमने डिस्कस किया, कि ये जो पीएलए और उसके जो जितने मैती ग्रुप्स हैं, जो मैती और कम्युनिटी के पीछे खड़े हैं, इसमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम है। वो उस वक्त किसी ने सुना नहीं। मेरे ख्याल में पीपल इन न्यू दिल्ली हैव रियलाइज्ड, एंड दैट्स व्हाई ऑल दीज मैती ग्रुप्स हैव बीन बैंड, which is good, but it complicates a Manipur situation. Also, right, Manipur police went somewhere near More, they got ambushed, और उनको निकालने के लिए असम राइफल्स का टोली गया और उनको निकाला है। बात यह है कि सेम मणिपुर पुलिस पुट एफआईआर अगेंस्ट असम राइफल्स, और ये इसीलिए जो भी वहां गतिविधि हो रहे हैं, यहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, यहाँ का प्रॉब्लम भी कुछ अलग रुख ले रहा है। सो विल नाउ टॉक ऑफ मणिपुर, सो एंड अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ मिजोरम, बिकॉज मिजोरम में भी प्रॉब्लम है। बट फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, शकीन, टेक ऑन मणिपुर।
So let me cover Manipur in three phases.
या
First, let me talk about the border, Manipur border, with uh, Myanmar and with Mizoram. So let us first go to Manipur border with Myanmar. I've told you this border is extremely unstable, not because Myanmar is creating a problem, but because we have a large number of insurgent groups who have camps there. And they are able to move in and move out with impunity, and we are not able to stop that. क्यों? क्योंकि border is open. Secondly, the 16-kilometer free move regime. And thirdly, the ability of these groups to come inside and go because the kind of terrain there is. बहुत ही मुश्किल terrain है, almost impossible to police. But when you come down to South Mizoram, there the people also welcome the people of the Chin state. क्योंकि these people are their cousins. और दो तीन चीजें आप याद रखिए कि मिजोरम has not permitted its population to be subject to biometrics. There is no biometrics on the population of Mizoram. So we will not have the ability to recognize कौन आए और कौन गए. And this 1 lakh people plus who have entered Mizoram, we will not be able to find out because we have no data at all. Secondly, the Meiteis are fighting the Kukis. The Kukis belong to the Chin state, which is a border of Manipur as well as Mizoram. The Mizos are also Kukis. If Meiteis or you use the state, Indian state against the Kukis, मिजोरम में वायलेंस फिर से शुरू हो जाएगा. And that will be a very difficult thing for us to control again. We have brought Mizoram to some kind of peace. From 1986, Mizoram has been the most peaceful state in the Northeast. We don't want a return to violence. So we have to understand this very, very carefully. And next year are the national elections where violence will increase. All these things have to be calibrated by our political leadership. We have to have peace here. We have to come back to normalcy. And Manipur has to be the most strategic state, which is a linchpin of India's Act East policy. So, yes, सबसे important चीज. Secondly, the insurgency situation inside the state of Manipur. The Assam Rifles and part of the Indian Army are fighting three separate battles there. One is with the Manipur groups, the PLA, the UNLF, the KYKL, which are groups with whom we don't have a ceasefire and we don't have a suspension of operations. And we've never had either a ceasefire nor a suspension of operations with them. Why are they fighting? Because they felt that in 1948, when the king of Manipur seceded the kingdom of Manipur to India, they felt that he was forced, the king was forced, and that it was an illegal act on India. And they have not accepted the secession and therefore continue to fight us. So you have one insurgency fighting on behalf of what they feel was an illegal accession to India in 1948. The second battle is the mighty Kuki battle. Battle lines have been drawn, trenches have been dug, barriers have been put up, and it is impossible for for one person of a particular uh, of a particular tribe to move to the other side. Permanent battle lines have been drawn. It's like the First World War का जो ट्रेंच वॉरफेयर होता था वैसे ही आजकल चल रहा है उधर. And the Kuki groups are getting the latest weapons. They have sniper rifles, and which is why that problem between the Kukis and the Manipur police took place. Is that they have sniper rifles, they have trained people, and the moment the Manipur police thinks that it can use some strength and come in, they will be interfered with. And the third thing, which I keep saying, is that the Manipur police filed an FIR against the Assam Rifles because the Assam Rifles did not allow them to raid a Kuki village and kill people in retaliation of, they felt, in retaliation killing because of some Maitis who were killed by some Kukis. And since the Assam Rifles did not allow the Manipur police to enter, the Manipur police filed an FIR against them. When the Manipur police got caught in this crossfire, two things became apparent. That the Manipur police on its own is not capable of fighting the Kuki insurgent groups. The second is the importance of Assam Rifles. Assam Rifles is the only force in the Northeast which is capable of fighting and protecting the various assets of the state in Arunachal, in Manipur, in Mizoram, South Assam, and all the other places where the insurgency is. No police force in any one of these states has any survivability without the Assam Rifles. That means in these far off posts, far off villages, no police can establish a police station. They have no survivability. They need the Assam Rifles to be next to them, which is why I have said recently in an interview that the Assam Rifles is the finest fighting force in the northeast of India. The finest because only they can survive and they can fight these very difficult insurgent groups. And these insurgent groups are giving arms, ammunition, latest of weapons, and they are very, very difficult. They're a very difficult group to fight. I have fought them personally in 5-10 years. That means 15 years of my life I have spent in the Northeast. And I know how vicious this fighting is.
I want to add एक चीज जो आपने बताया, I want to reinforce जो बहुत ही important point जनरल चौहान ने बताया, वो ये है कि कोई भी पुलिस अपने इलाके से 10 कदम भी नहीं जा सकता इनटू इंसर्जेंसी एरिया और 10 मिनट के लिए भी वहां रुक नहीं सकता अगर असम राइफल्स नहीं है तो उसके साथ. अगर वहां कहीं फंस गया या वो मरेगा या उतना स्थिति में चला जाएगा, सिर्फ असम राइफल्स उसको निकाल सकता है. राइट. और ये बात मिजोरम में भी वही है, मणिपुर में भी यही है, और
नागालैंड में वही है, एंड साउथ अरुणाचल में भी
वही है. तो ये चीज जो है सबको पता होना चाहिए इससे पहले कि कोई सोचे कि असम राइफल एक ट्राइब के साथ है या दूसरे ग्रुप के साथ है. नहीं है, राइट। जैसे इन्होंने बोला कि वो असम राइफल्स को कमांड कर चुके हैं, मैं भी कमांड कर चुका हूं असम राइफल्स को। जो असम राइफल्स कर सकता है और कोई फोर्स उस इलाके में नहीं कर सकता, सिवाय एक, वो है इंडियन आर्मी, राइट। पर आज के स्थिति को देखते हुए इंडियन आर्मी को इन चारों स्टेट में डिप्लॉय नहीं किया गया है, क्योंकि इंडियन आर्मी का रुख पूरा आज के दिन
चाइना के
चाइना
साथ।
के अगेंस्ट है। कुछ दिन पहले जब हम ब्रिगेड कमांडर वगैरह थे या सीओ थे, उन दिनों में इंडियन आर्मी भी असम राइफल्स के साथ काम करता था। पर आजकल ये पूरा जिम्मेवारी नॉर्थ ईस्ट में असम राइफल्स का है। इसीलिए ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है कि असम राइफल्स को हर हालत में अच्छी तरीके से रखना चाहिए, और उसके ऊपर फालतू में उंगली उठाना ठीक बात नहीं है। जो बहुत लोगों को मैंने देखा है उंगली उठाते हुए अगेंस्ट दिस फोर्स, बिकॉज दिस इज वन ऑफ द फाइनेस्ट फोर्सेस, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस इन इंडिया टुडे। या सॉरी, बिकॉज आई थॉट लेट मी रीइंफोर्स जो आप बोल रहे हो।
Reinforces.
I know you've been
हाँ,
I know you have been the Director General of Assam Rifles, but I've also commanded Assam Rifles, and I have a lot of feeling for them. Right?
absolutely, sir.
Many things which the Assam Rifles did to counter
और कोई
insurgency
नहीं कर सकता सर,
और कोई
कोई नहीं
नहीं
कर
कर
सकता।
सकता। या अब बोलिए अभी।
तो these are the three major dynamics of Manipur. एक, this continuing mighty cookie battle, which for the next 5 generations will not stop. Secondly, peace can be brought in not by the gun, but by the people themselves. It is the people who must tell their political people that हमारे future generations will get lost. कोई एजुकेशन नहीं होगा, कोई लोग बाहर नहीं जा सकेंगे, कोई इकोनॉमी नहीं बढ़ेगी, and life will only become worse with this problem. Only the people of Manipur can tell their politicians, only the people of Nagaland can tell their politicians, only the people of Mizoram can tell their politicians. Tisra, no matter what anyone says, any movement of the state against the cookies will bring Mizoram into this war. मिजोरम में वायलेंस शुरू होगा। मैंने अपने आप एज अ डायरेक्टर जनरल मैं गया था टू द चीफ मिनिस्टर इन 2017। मिस्टर लालतन हावला थे चीफ मिनिस्टर, और मैंने उनको तब बताया था कि आप क्यों परमिट कर रहे हैं, वाई आर यू परमिटिंग द चीन रेफ्यूजीज टू कम इनसाइड। उनने बोला कि जनरल चौहान, ये मेरे भाई हैं, मैं अपने भाइयों को मेरे घर में आने से रोक नहीं सकता, कोई नहीं रोक सकता। तो टुडे इन मिजोरम there are 1 lakh refugees, and these refugees cannot be accounted for. There's no identification. और कोई फोर्स नहीं है हमारे पास where we would like to force this issue on anybody, because we feel that these are such critical states. And as General Shankar said, the entire Indian army is deployed along the border in Arunachal and the border in Ladakh and the border with Pakistan. And because of that, we cannot allow the Indian army to come inside and start also fighting our own people. So I would request our brethren in the Northeast that please understand and please start the process of peace. क्योंकि जब तक आप पीस नहीं बोलेंगे तब तक पॉलिटिशियंस कुछ नहीं करेंगे। आपने लाना है ये पीस। ये ना असम राइफल्स ला सकती है, ना फौज ला सकती है। इट हैज टू बी द पीपल देमसेल्व्स। और आप सोचिए, you have lived in peace for the last 70 years amongst yourselves. You can redo this. Don't let it happen that our future generations will only have hate in their hearts. बड़ा मुश्किल टाइम है। It is extremely difficult, and I will request our political leaders, don't manipulate the situation. And the last point I want to say, sir, is that with the coming elections, things will only get worse.
Yes.
They will not
और
get any better.
और बात ये इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है, क्योंकि अगले 5-6 महीने में इलेक्शंस होने वाले हैं और म्यांमार का हालत और बिगड़ता जाएगा। म्यांमार में जो इंस्टेबिलिटी है यहाँ भी आएगा, क्योंकि ये जो पीएलए, यूएनएलएफ, केवाईकेएल वगैरह जो तात्मदाव को मदद कर रहे हैं और जो कुकी ग्रुप्स जो उनको मदद कर रहे हैं, वो अपने अपने वहां से भी यहाँ लेके आएंगे। दिस विल बिकम अ बैटल ग्राउंड इन द ड्यूरिंग द इलेक्शंस। अगर ये जितने हमारे जो कुकीज हुए, माइती हुए, नागा हुए, जो भी हैं, भाईचारा के साथ नहीं रह सकते, तो यह हालत और बिगड़ता जाएगा। यही मेरा भी अंदाज है। अंदाज नहीं है, इट इज अ सर्टेनिटी, इट बिगड़ता जाएगा। एंड आई थिंक इट्स टाइम फॉर आवर पॉलिटिशियंस टू रियलाइज दैट इफ यू वांट मणिपुर एंड मिजोरम, बिकॉज इफ वंस मिजोरम में आग लग गया तो उसको बुझाना बड़ा मुश्किल है।
बहुत मुश्किल होगा।
Right? बहुत मुश्किल होगा। फिर तो हम वी हैव प्लेड इनटू चाइनाज हैंड्स कंप्लीटली। ठीक, तो वी हैव टू डू, and we also have to open channels of communication externally with the Tatmadaw and probably someone influential across Myanmar, so that we get that स्थिति, वो स्थिति भी थोड़ा ठंडा करने की हमारा कोशिश होना
That
चाहिए।
either way, India should not lose. Our eggs, all our eggs should not be in one basket.
One basket.
It doesn't matter. हमारी तरफ से जो भी म्यांमार में हो, India must be with Myanmar because it is so critical for us कि anything else can cause fire in our northeast.
और
And
कुछ लोग
China will take advantage. ये तो आप गिवन रख दो कि चाइना आपको फ्री रन नहीं देगी. China will give you no free pass. It will take advantage. Please understand that it is the nature of China. Since 1965, she has been supporting this insurgencies in our northeast. जितने भी आपके insurgent groups हैं, whether it is NSCN-IM, NSCN-K, whether it is the PLA, whether it is the KYKL, whether it is the UNLF, whether it was the Mizo National Front, all got weapons and training and support from China. सब के सब.
Okay. Now, कुछ सवाल हैं. We'll take some questions now that we have given the whole overview. कुछ सवाल हैं कि क्या can we take over Myanmar and all that. वो सवाल तो मैं लूंगा ही नहीं, क्योंकि वो उस तरीके का सोच तो बिल्कुल आउट ऑफ क्वेश्चन
मत करना. हाँ, बिल्कुल मत करना.
बिल्कुल हमें वहां घुसने की कोई वी शुड नॉट इवन थिंक. हमारे सपने में भी सोचना नहीं चाहिए. अब थोड़ा सोचिए, चाइना भी उसके उस साइड बॉर्डर में है, वो क्यों नहीं आए अंदर? ठीक है, जिस तरीके से चाइना अंदर नहीं आना चाहती है, हमें भी इस साइड से अंदर नहीं जाना चाहिए. उतना आसान नहीं है. वहां एक बार घुस गए तो वापस नहीं आएंगे, राइट? क्योंकि दैट इज द नेचर ऑफ द टेरेन. वहां का इलाका ऐसा है कि वही इलाका जिस तरीके से हमारा है वहां और भी है, और हमारा इलाका हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं हो रहा, तो उनका इलाका लेके हम क्या करेंगे? तो इट्स अ